Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about the Scorpio Full Moon, which is coming up on Monday, May 12th. And it's also known as the Festival of Wesak, which is celebrated all over the East as the birthday of the Buddha. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. This full moon in Scorpio is happening in the gate 43, which is affectionately known as the Genius Freak Gate, and it's also known as the Gate of Insight. It's highly intuitive. It's in the knowing circuit. So it is individual circuitry. It's here to be different. It's here to bring change. It doesn't fit in, and it's really on that leading edge of consciousness. And one of the things we have happening with this particular configuration is that the sun is in its mate in the 23, and then the earth is in the 43, and then the moon is in the 43. So basically we've got this channel lit up right here. The 43 is right on the bottom of the ajna, and the 23 is the top of the throat. So what we're getting is a defined ajna and a defined throat coming through that channel. So everyone is going to have a defined ajna and a defined throat for this little bit of time. And also we're going to have extra evolutionary energy coming in for all of us. This is highly intuitive energy. This is where we get, downloads, we get epiphanies, we get insights, we get breakthroughs. This tends to be information that comes in, spiritual guidance that comes in, that sometimes is pretty different than what you normally think about things. Now, this is why it's called the Genius Freak Gate. Not so much because of it, that's the characteristic of that particular energy, so much as how it's received either by you when you get that download or by other people when you choose to share it. Because here you may be wanting to share it because we have that whole channel filled in. And so that energy is going to come in and it may want to express itself. And I encourage you to do so, but in the right situation with the right people at the right time. And this is going to be something that gets set in place during this full moon, and then it's going to be available to you for a while. So just really consider what it is that's coming through to you. And also, a lot of times we, because of how we've been conditioned, we don't really value our intuition the way that we could. Many times we think, well, where did that idea come from? Or what is that supposed to mean? Or I don't know what to do with that insight or that breakthrough. And it could be for you, depending on what your particular psychic abilities are like. It could be something that you see, whether it's images or colors or shapes. It could be something you feel. I'm very clairsentient, so I really feel the in my body. And then, or you might be hearing. I'm quite auditory also because I have the gate 57, so I am quite auditory. So whatever it is, how you will be receiving these downloads, to perhaps be more open than usual to them. Because what is it that your intuition is trying to tell you? And are you paying attention? And are you resisting? Because sometimes our intuition brings in insights and possibilities that are pretty disruptive. And here it's in Scorpio. So let's remember that Scorpio is the only sign in the zodiac that has 3 different avatars. And it actually evolves inside of itself through the different avatars. So it begins with the scorpion, sting, right? To the serpent, right? To the phoenix. And then remember, the phoenix itself is a transformational being, right? The phoenix, right, burns and then is reborn and has another life, and then burns up and then is reborn and has another life. So inside of its own avatar self, it is transformative. So Scorpio is a super transformative sign. It's ruled by Pluto. And let's remember, Pluto is the god of the underworld and tends to strip away what isn't serving us, even if we're really attached to it. And perhaps, especially if we're really attached to it, right? So you may be feeling that during this time of this full moon, really in these few days, at what is it that's starting to shred, that wants to come apart, right? And what I wish for you is that some of that is the resistance or the blocks that you have or the mindset that you have around your intuition. Because most of us, of a certain age anyway, we're not valued for our intuition when we were kids, right? I know I wasn't. I've done many readings for people for whom that's true, where they were told that things that they intuitive weren't true, or they made it up. Sometimes it's things that they saw or they heard or that they just knew because they have that knowing circuit. That was me. I just knew things. And I was told when I was a kid that those things weren't true. And so I really just kind of rejected my intuition for a long time. It wasn't until I was in my 40s and I had left my job at Columbia University and I was really exploring, well, what am I going to do with my life now since I walked away from the career I'd spent all these years building, right? And that's when I started to be like, okay, I need to live differently. I don't really know how to do it, but I need to live differently. So I started to explore. And within a year, I was communicating with my guides on a regular basis. I was getting a lot of intuitive hits about what to do. And I've been cultivating my intuition ever since, which is almost 27 years. And so I've been at this for quite a while. And what I want to share is that it happens in layers. Right? It happens in layers. It happens as you're ready for it, as you're willing for it. And it happens in layers for you personally. And then it also happens in layers for the collective. So the time we're in right now, things are very, very accelerated. And you're going to have a lot easier time connecting with your intuition than maybe you would have even a year ago, and certainly 5 years ago. So this full moon is going to be lighting up your possibility for your intuitive hits to be coming in more strongly. And it's also going to light up your resistance. It's going to light up what your blocks are, things that you might not know about, and also resistance where you're kind of actively like, oh man, that is not something I even know how to digest. And so the invitation for you is to just really ground yourself and try to be open to what comes in, and just know that if your intuition comes in and it gives you a direction to do something or to not do something you have been doing, that you do not have to take action on it immediately. Like you do not have to, like if it says, you need to leave your job, which you may already know, because let's remember Uranus is also in the gate of contribution, which might be saying, hey, it's time for a change, time to shift what you're doing in your contribution in the world. Right? But it doesn't mean you have to do it today. So sometimes people resist receiving their inner knowing and receiving that kind of divine guidance because they're afraid it's going to blow up their life. They're afraid it's going to blow up their life. I know this. I've had that fear before. I've seen plenty of other people do it. I'm kind of one of those people who just kind of dives in, and I have blown up my life a few times. And you know what? It's always worked out well in the end. And I've also learned how to really create my own breakthroughs so I don't have to blow up my life. And that is what becomes possible the more you are on your spiritual path, and the more that you're removing that resistance to the inner guidance that can show you how to do that, so that you can incrementally, and sometimes with big leaps and bounds, really change your life, but do it in a way that is less stressful for you, that has more grace in it, and that allows it to unfold rather than feeling like you have to make it happen. So just know your intuition is a superpower. Everyone has intuition. It's a little bit different in different people. All of the human design authorities, for example, are all intuitive. None of them are mind-based. None of them are logical or analytical. They're all body-based, and they're all intuitive. So you have intuition, my friend. Absolutely. And the 4323 is going to help open that up even more for you. So this is a really important time for you to have clear intention about what it is that you want to be receiving that guidance about, because it's plugged right in there into super consciousness. And so you have the opportunity to be receiving that guidance. But remember that the spiritual etiquette is you have to ask. You have to ask for guidance. You have to ask for help. And so this is a wonderful time to be saying, okay, creative intelligence of the universe, or whether you're talking to your higher self or your divine self, or if there are power animals or guides that you work with, whatever it is that you are asking for support from. And chances are you kind of have all of that, right? It's just a matter of what you want to focus on. It to be bringing you the understanding, the insights, the breakthroughs, the epiphanies that you need to move forward in your life in the next phase. Just a couple other comments about the chart that we have here for the full moon, which is that you'll notice that Neptune is in the 25. So Neptune's been in the 25 for a little bit. And Saturn is now in the 25. And so they're both in this beautiful, beautiful gate of the love of spirit. And Neptune is already in Aries. Saturn is still in Pisces and won't enter Aries until I think it's the 25th of this month, 24th, 25th, something like that. But nonetheless, they're both in that gate 25. And so what they're doing in there is helping us to really tune into the truth of our own spiritual being and to help awaken us to the understanding that you and me and all of us, we are actually light beings in human form, right? We are spiritual beings. And if you work with non-physical beings, right, you have an aspect that is like that. And part of it has decided to bring itself into this smaller form, right, to have this earth experience. And part of what's going on right now, and certainly what Neptune and Saturn are saying, wake up to the fact that you are this spiritual being, you are this light being, and to really be focusing on how you can be opening up your heart more and juicing up your experience of yourself as a spiritual being. And when Saturn moves into Aries, we're going to get more structure around that as well. I will do a separate video about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to bring this in here so that you know that as you're opening up to that intuition, and as you're wanting to have deeper insights, you also have the support that is coming from Neptune and Saturn, which is to support you in your spiritual practice, your spiritual endeavors, and to open up your love of spirit. Because sometimes, perhaps, your resistance to being able to receive downloads is as you have a complicated relationship to spirit. And depending on if you were brought up in a religious way, sometimes people have, resistance that comes from that. And let's just face it, we've had a lot of programming and a lot of trauma over the last, 1,000, 2,000 years from religions around the world. And so it can be complicated for us. And sometimes it's kind of deep seated inside. And so just know that if you have any resistance to that, to know that you have Saturn and you have Neptune that are supporting you with that as well. And so this is just a beautiful time for you to be allowing in what it is that are the next steps for you. If you need some clarity about things that are going on in your life, things that you maybe have been confused by, you haven't understood. And then let's note that this is also the festival of Wesak, begins with the Wesak Full Moon. So the Wesak Full Moon is the moon in Scorpio that always happens in the sign of Taurus. And I wanted to share with you just a little bit of writing from the Lucis Trust organization, which is the Alice B. Bailey organization. They study her work. She is 100 years ago now. Alice Bailey was a channel, an esoteric, and very, very advanced teachings. And so this is what they have to say about Wesak. Wesak is widely celebrated through the East as the festival of the Buddha. For esoterics, it's the high point of the spiritual year when forces of enlightenment flow from the higher worlds into the mind of humanity. While Buddhists celebrate the Wesak as the time that marks the birth, death, and enlightenment of Buddha, ageless wisdom students regard it as a living event. At the exact moment of this, they call it a Taurus full moon because it's during the time when the sun is in Taurus, but it's actually the Scorpio full moon. But anyway, they say the Taurus full moon, that the Buddha is said to return momentarily to earth, appearing to those gathered in a secluded valley in the Himalayas who are able to see him. Some have dreamt of being present at the ceremony. The Christ stands before the Buddha and in a moment brimming with vitality and significance receives the Buddha's blessing on behalf of humanity before turning and radiating this blessing out to the assembled gathering and to all human beings. The Buddha has always been known as the great revealer, rendering the mind as a clear sheet of glass in order to see the reality of oneness, right? This is oneness consciousness. This is Christ consciousness. His techniques of compassion, detachment, and discrimination help to sweep away all that veils and hinders recognition of this reality, the recognition that we are all one. Here we are also celebrating something that, like I said, it's all over Asia. This is celebrated as the Buddha's birthday or as the Day of Enlightenment. And so you can just imagine yourself in that valley in the Himalayas where the Buddha descends and Christ is there. And just to imagine the level of illumination that happens under this big full moon when we have these great avatars who are here helping to channel more spiritual information, more spiritual energy, more light down through you, my friend, and through me, and through all of us who are paying attention down here onto the earth. And this is a big thing that very many of us are engaged and have been engaged with, which is to be anchoring more light onto the planet. The earth is going through her own evolutionary process, right? We're seeing this with the earthquakes that are happening, the volcanoes that are happening, all of the energy that's coming in from the sun and the solar flares, and how the sun is being activated by the central sun at the center of our galaxy, right? There is a lot going on here. So you don't have to understand it, and your logical mind won't understand it anyway, so don't try. But there's a lot of potential that is here, and it is an opportunity for each one of us to be tapping into these energies that are coming, to use them for our own evolutionary process, right? And this is what our intuition helps to bring us. Like, our logical mind does not bring us our breakthroughs, okay? That's not what it's about. It's very much about structure. It's about patterns. It's about being able to see that and put things back kind of into place in terms of patterns go. But it's not really the place where we have these really breakthrough ideas, these really breakthrough opportunities or experiences. That's going to happen much more through our intuition. So we want to be able to be letting go of whatever programming or conditioning we've had from this or other lives, or that we've received through our ancestral line, so that we individually and collectively can be receiving really our assignment for this time. So, my friend, if you have been feeling confused at all, if you've been afraid, there's a lot of fear that's happening in the collective right now. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of uncertainty and unknowns. So if you've been having that, feeling unstable or feeling afraid, it's totally understandable based on what's going on out there. But my best advice, and it's not just me, you hear it everywhere, is to come inside. Come inside. Rather than tuning out there, come inside. Because when you come inside, you can find that still, quiet, powerful place inside of you, right? Where you can be receiving those downloads. You can be hearing what it is that your guides and your angels and your higher self want to tell you. And you can be feeling the next way for you to go. And what an incredibly beautiful time to do it on the Wesak Full Moon. And you can also think about for yourself, when we think about the Scorpio and how Scorpio evolves inside of itself, and then even the Phoenix continues to evolve, right? Is for you to just ask yourself, and you don't necessarily have to answer this, right? But just to be asking, be in the inquiry of like, what are my next steps on my evolutionary path, right? What is the next thing for me to do? You don't have to like project out way out there. You just need to know what the next thing is. And that, my friend, is what can come to you during this Wesak full moon, this Scorpio full moon, and to be knowing that you are valuable, you are worthy, you are deserving, and that this may just be the time for you to break through to full embodiment of that awareness. In this time of complex change, you may be wondering, wow, where am I now? What is mine to do? What am I here for in this time of great awakening, in this time of great change, when so much is breaking apart and new things are emerging? And for many of us, right, we're kind of in a new stage. We're in a new place. I can tell you so many people coming to me for human design readings now. I think I've done like 25 in the last 2.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks, since I did the Ostara Spring Special. I did a lot of readings. And what I'm seeing is so many people who are leaning into, what is my purpose now? What is my contribution? What am I here to do? So if that's you, I just want you to know that you're in really good company, and I think it's an important thing for us to be paying attention to and to be leaning into. And that, in fact, this full moon in Scorpio can help us with that 4323 all lit up here. And so I have created a new masterclass, which is the purpose in your cross. So this is going to be looking at your incarnation cross, which is your conscious sun, your conscious earth, your unconscious sun, your unconscious earth, and looking at the dynamics between those four different gates. Now, the incarnation cross can be a very deep study, and there's many, many layers to it, potentially. And you can also begin by really looking at those four gates and their planetary positions and how they relate to each other. So this is what we're going to dive into in this particular masterclass. And it is also an invitation for you to come and take a look at what we're doing in the summer semester with the Sovereign Sisterhood, because we're going to be diving into life purpose over those 4 months, June, July, August, September. And so this is a component of that, and you'll get a flavor for what that is and kind of how we do this kind of work. And then I'm also going to do an event that is after that, where we're going to kind of speed read some charts and speed read some incarnation crosses, so you can get a sense of that. So if this interests you, you can go ahead and register for this below. The first masterclass is going to happen on May 19th, which is a week after the new full moon, and then a few days later we're going to do like the speed reading. So go ahead and register for that. It's totally free to you. If it's something that interests you, I'll be happy to connect with you about. And I think that we're just so ripe for it right now. And if you're feeling restless or you're feeling uncertain, it's really vital, I think, for us to be getting this kind of deep understanding from the inside. And your incarnation cross can give you a portal in to be helping you to understand what's going on in your soul curriculum right now. Because I know for me, my incarnation cross, as I've lived into it more and more and more over the years, it really has shown me a powerful aspect of my soul curriculum. So I want to help you be able to understand that for yourself as well. So I hope that I will see you on May 19th. So take advantage, my friend, of this incredible full moon that we have. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. It could be kind of edgy, kind of powerful. Scorpio can be a little stingy, depending on how everybody's being. So just remember to have extra compassion and extra kindness, but also to be available for the spiritual information and the divine guidance that is just waiting to come your way. All right, my friends, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.